The four goals of an economy are full employment, price stability, a high but sustainable rate of economic growth, and equitable distribution of income and wealth. When a country aims for full employment, the actual unemployment rate they target for is anything between 3 to 5%. In Pakistan, the unemployment rate in 2017 was 5.9%, which is quite close to the aim for unemployment. In 2014, the unemployment rate was 5.6%. Price stability for an economy is trying to avoid deflation or too much inflation. The inflation rate that countries usually aim for is 2%. However, when a country is trying to grow economically, a higher inflation rate helps to boost the GDP because it causes unemployment to decrease, which I will get into later on. As Pakistan is a developing country, the target inflation rate for the economy is 6%. In April 2018, the inflation rate in Pakistan was 3.68%. The rate of economic growth can be seen as the percentage increase in real GDP of a country in a year. Since 2005, the rate of economic growth in Pakistan has been at a steady rate at around 4.5%. However, in 2017, the country experienced a growth rate of 5.79%, which was the highest seen in the country in the past 10 years. The Gini index of a country is the statistical measure of how income and wealth are rationed out in a country. The index ranges from 0 to 100, where 0 means perfect equality and 100 means perfect inequality. The Gini index of Pakistan is 30.7, which is close to the average value around the world. In Pakistan, the lowest 20% of the population holds 9.2% of the income, the second 20% holds 12.9%, the third 20% holds 16.4%, the fourth 20% holds 21.3%, and the highest 20% of the population holds 40.3% of the income, meaning that the top 20% of the population holds more wealth and income than the bottom 60% of the population. When looking at government policies or actions that are geared towards achieving the four economic goals, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC) was a deal for a project in which a highway between Kashgar-Shenyang city in China and Balochistan-Gwadar port city in Pakistan will help to boost the economies of both countries. As Gwadar's port is situated on the Arabian Sea, China using this port to increase their exports will not only benefit China, but also will increase the exports of Pakistan. When Pakistan increases their exports and keeps their imports almost the same, their net exports will increase. One of the factors of GDP is net exports, meaning when the net exports of a country increase, the total output will also increase. As GDP increases, the rate of economic growth will also increase throughout the years. In fact, the chairman of Pakistan-China Institute believes that the jump to an economic growth of 5.79% was highly affected by CPEC. Since 2015, through CPEC, 60,000 new jobs were opened up for Pakistanis, and by 2030, this project will have provided Pakistan with 800,000 new jobs. This will definitely allow unemployment to decrease, but that's not all. When unemployment decreases, aggregate demand increases and shifts to the right. However, this increase in aggregate demand will cause employment to go above the full employment rate, causing production costs to increase. To go back to full employment, the short-run aggregate supply will have to shift to the left, which will then in the long run increase price levels, or in other words, increase inflation rates. This means that through the new openings in jobs due to CPEC, not only will Pakistan get closer to reaching full employment, but will also get closer to reaching their 6% inflation target. In a country, the best way to improve the way income and wealth is distributed, the government must place a progressive income tax to make sure people earning a higher income pay a larger amount of tax. However, in Pakistan, such policies do not exist, which is one of the greatest reasons to why the income is not spread out equally at all. In Pakistan, the income tax system includes everyone paying 20% of their income no matter how much they earn. Through the use of this system, the only thing that Pakistan can achieve is keeping the wealth and income distribution in the population the way it already is. Though the problem that Pakistan is facing is tax evasion, which is the illegal practice of a person intentionally avoiding taxes. In Pakistan, the politicians are the ones who hold the most wealth and are the ones who make the rules, meaning that they're also the ones who have enough power to find ways to exempt themselves from paying taxes. Therefore, instead of having everyone pay 20% of income tax, it is only the lower percentage of the population following the system. Thus, the current government policy set in order to reach the goal of equitable distribution is actually impacting the economy negatively. An idea I am proposing for Pakistan to get closer to reaching their economic goals is of promoting women's education in order to increase the number of females working in the country. In 2012, the percent of girls that attended secondary school in Pakistan was 28.9%. In 2017, while 45.8% of women in the US were a part of the labor force, only 22.4% of women in Pakistan were a part of the labor force. In 1990, labor force surveys showed that 13.2% of Pakistani women were included in the labor force, meaning that in 27 years, the female work participation only went up by 9.2%. By promoting education for girls, the percentage of women working in Pakistan will increase, which will help the country get closer to reaching full employment. Then, through the improvement in employment in Pakistan, the other three economic goals will also be benefited. When more women start to work in the country, the ratio of unemployed people to total labor force will be closer to zero, causing the unemployment rate to decrease. Then, when more people are employed, households in the economy will feel wealthier and will increase consumption. This increase in consumption will cause aggregate demand to shift to the right, which will lead to GDP or the rate of economic growth increasing in the long run, as mentioned before. Then, just like the effect of CPEC on Pakistan's inflation rates, improving education will help to reach the target inflation through the new and improved employment rates. This can also be shown through the Phillips curve. As unemployment decreases, the inflation rates increase. In Pakistan, due to the way income and wealth are distributed, it's the lowest 20 to 30% of the population that usually do not receive an education for girls. Due to the lack of education, these girls are not able to be a part of the labor force when they grow up. However, if they do receive an education and grow up to be a part of the labor force, more households from the bottom 20 to 30% of the population will be able to earn a higher amount of income, which as time goes by will allow the gap between the rich and poor to lessen. One way to see this gap between the rich and poor decrease is to look at the Lorenz curve. As the Lorenz curve for Pakistan gets closer to the line of perfect equality, it means that the Gini coefficient is decreasing and the income and wealth in Pakistan are being distributed more equally. Through improving the education of women in Pakistan, the government will be able to increase the quality and quantity of one of the most important factors of productions in the long run, this factor of production being labor. In Pakistan, the main areas where education is not as common as it should be is in the rural areas. To better the education in these areas, the government will have to invest in schools in small villages, and the schools being built must be free for all people due to the poverty in these places. As well, these schools should provide an education for the students that is somewhat related to what they do in the place where they live. Meaning, if a village is known for their crops, the schools in the village will obviously teach the basic things like reading, writing, and math. However, they should also teach the children things related to crops and agriculture. The Shorun Act of investing in education for females in Pakistan, especially the rural areas, will have a positive long-run outcome of getting closer to the country's goal of full employment. When unemployment will decrease, Pakistan will also be closer to achieving the other three economic goals, which are price stability, economic growth, and equal distribution of income.